Dover, Pennsylvania, that have refused to see my child because I will not vaccinate.
Oh, yeah, that's on InfoWars today. And then now they're going to then say, and just like they kick you out of school for not vaccinating and then charge you with truancy, even though they triggered it. It's all fraud. They're now saying if you don't take your kid to the doctor, you're abusive. But then they're not seeing your child. You may have to travel 50 miles. That's what there are more and more doctors that know it's bad. Where are you calling from?
Dover, Pennsylvania.
How far away is Ohio from Pennsylvania? Pretty close, isn't it?
No, not from where I'm at. It's probably 200 plus.
Well, you got to do it. It's just like organic food wasn't on store shelves 12, 15 years ago, and now it is everywhere. And, of course, they make counterfeits, but that's okay. It's all part of the process. You've got to support doctors that are non-vaccine. Look, have you done a search engine for your area and non-vaccinating doctors?
No, I haven't yet. My son was actually just born over the weekend.
Well, sorry, listen, my children have had 0 vaccines. Have you seen the studies where the flu shot only helps you with their own numbers, 1.4% of the chance, or 98.6% of the time it doesn't help you, and then it reduces their immunity to the flu the next year by 50%? Major Canadian studies?
I've taken these documents with me to the doctors, and they've literally called me stupid and told me I'm going to kill my child by not vaccinating.
Well, that's because they're desperate. The public, the majority have turned against them. So that's why you're seeing a doubling and tripling. It's like when a horse tries to throw you, you really dig your spurs in. You start whipping them, with the reins between the eyes. And right now they're like, yeah, mule, how? You do what I say. And they've gotten off the horse, and they got that whip, and they're whipping us right now. And they're going, you're going to do what I said. Yeah. And they're trying to geld us. We're still a stallion. They put Prozac in our water and our food, but that's what the fluoride is. But, again, they're beating us right now going, you listen to me, horse. You listen to me, like me, mule. You do what I say right now. So what happened from there?
I pretty much said, have a nice day. I'll never deal with your practice, and I'll find somebody that believes the way I believe.
Well, sir, I'll say this. The science of immunization does work to a certain extent. It's been around 500 years at least, quantified the last 250 with smallpox and things. But it carries a lot of other problems with it. Now, take that out of the equation. Like it lowers immunity. It's been linked to increases in cancer because your body doesn't know how to deal with things. And so when you start getting cancer, it doesn't go and kill that itself because it thinks some outside force is supposed to do it. There's a lot of studies out there. But the main issue is you can bring the stupid doctor all the government documents where they admit they're adding things to vaccines or the recalls of vaccines and show that to them. But they don't want to look because they're committed to the cult and to the power trip and to you're an idiot and know nothing. I mean, sir, you know who ran the Aztec kingdoms. You know who the priests were in the Roman times. They were the doctors. The doctors were always part of the priesthood, generally the top of it. And they also studied psychology. I mean, look at the sign of medicine going back a couple thousand years. Double helix snakes. It's DNA. This is part of the lower priesthood. And they practice on you. I mean, doctors 100 years ago would just routinely take a small child and ram a ice pick in through their eye into their brain in front of students. You can actually type in doctor uses ice pick on child, and you'll see photos, mainstream articles, and women, men, whatever. And some of the first recordings were done, about 100 years ago, and you can hear there's photos with it laughing as they record the procedure, as the young internist, lower level cult members about to become full-fledged witch doctors, giggle as the person squirms and flops around in a straitjacket as the ice pick is driven into the frontal lobe of the cerebral cortex. So see, it's all about you're trash, you're an animal, you're a piece of miscreant filth, and they, the priesthood, know best. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
But there are real doctors out there. You have to go to Sherry Tenpenny, call her. We need to create an index of good doctors. Dr. Eisenstein in Illinois, He's done the studies to show that out of, 200-something thousand Amish and Mennonites in Illinois, no known cases of autism. Now it's 1 in 58, was 1 in 25,000 just about 30 years ago. It's an epidemic. It is a cursed plague. It's all scientific. See, most children just get a basic stunting and roasting of the higher IQ. An IQ that would be 140 is now 110. An IQ that would be 100 is now 80, to give you a dead reckoning. But with some children, they have too big an autoimmune inflammation, and so then the child is brain damaged to where it's noticeable. When I got upset by watching the football game last night, was the brainwashing, the commercials, watching my family, who are all awake to the New World Order, just easing into the false culture. See, I've made a real break with this culture. It's a false culture. It's a poisonous culture. It's inviting on the surface, but it's the death of who we are. It's simulated combat. It's simulated sex. It's all of it. It's matrix mind control. And to sit there and ease back into a game and let myself be part of it, it's sick. People would sell it as, well, you got to have some time off. You got to enjoy yourself. How about enjoying myself instructing my children, enjoying myself hunting or fishing, or enjoying myself doing something human? Not anything the New World Order is selling is poison. Anything they're pushing, you better believe is bad for you. They've given themselves totally over to it. You have to understand that. They are about being purist. They are perfectionist in their dark designs. And when you're awake, the propaganda is everywhere. And it is unmistakably converting our society into a nightmare system. Mark in North Carolina, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Alex, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Good. I know I'm ranting today. Is it making sense?
That makes sense to me. I'll tell you what, it's got me ticked off. I try to go and get my 401k and convert it to precious metals, and come to find out that my wife's Medicare and her Social Security from her disability, she will lose it. I couldn't understand the way the accountant put it, but it's...
I know they've got it set up that if you have to leave your money with the banksters so they can steal it through inflation and other things, or then they'll get rid of the, quote, other benefits. It's always a trap.
That's it. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. But I got something that really ticked me off. I'm watching the debate the other night. Ron Paul's up there, and they're badgering him. They're talking about Oklahoma City, and I'm sure you watched it as well. But Newt Gingrich speaks up and turns around and says, see? So they were talking about the result. Talking about McVeigh. I'm just curious as why didn't Ron take the opportunity to turn around and say that McVeigh wasn't the only one there? I know Ron knows about all this a lot more than we do, but
see, that's how they sell it. Look, and yeah, I'm going to get to that coming up actually in the next segment. I'm going to get into Ron Paul and then more calls. Here's the New York Times a few days ago before the anniversary of the Kennedy assassination. What killed JFK? Not who, but what? And then it was basically right-wing hatred killed him, and Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. And then it continues, Fox News, historians claim new research shows Oswald acted alone and just totally made up. And then judge orders psychological test for alleged White House shooter, and they try to blame the Obama deception for this guy doing this. They're trying, and yes, I did see it, they're trying to imply that this Republicans doing this, that anti-government criticism of the New World Order basically caused Oklahoma City, and they're trying to imply Ron Paul's involved in it. They all know that the internal Homeland Security reports are all about Ron Paul and Alex Jones and people that are awake, because we're the real Americans and they're the traitors that want global government. And so, yes, I am going to try to get to those highlights here in just a moment. What's your take on it?
Well, my take on it is I'm doing what I can do here. I'm not far from Fort Bragg, and I've got my InfoWars signs and shirts, and I go out to Walmart and I see the troops, and I talk to them. I've got my son-in-laws over in Afghanistan right now fighting for this country. I did my time in the Air Force. My dad was in the Navy. My family's been in the military. We've done our time. We support. I put it this way. I love my country, but I hate my government.
Well, that's what George Washington would say, and we've got so many good people in the military. Look at how, just like last time, 70+% of all military donations, Republican and Democrat, in the presidential race go to Ron Paul. So the military's good, and they're trying to hire the gangbangers. They're trying to hire the illegals and all the rest of it, but it's not working. And that's what's holding them back. That's why they're shifting to this new domestic security force that doesn't even go through constitutional training like police, this new federal goon force of the TSA who think it's their right to rape women, including 14-year-old girls reportedly. I mean, every day I hear about them being arrested for rape or pedophilia. Who do you think wants to grab people's genitals all day? I mean, there's your answer right there, Mark, right?
You're absolutely right. We just got to get out there and talk to more police officers and sheriffs and let them help them see the light.
That's right. America has been hijacked by the banksters who were using high-tech brainwashing. Folks, break the brainwashing. Choose the right side. Stand with George Washington. It's that simple. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is like 15 minutes long because it's got the responses and the other candidates in there. So I'll play about 5-6 minutes of it now. I'll talk to Richard Reeves for a little while, take some of your phone calls, then play another clip when Bob Chapman's on with us so I can comment on it. But here is some of the debate. And now that it's become such a controversy that Ron Paul got 89 seconds in the debate on CBS, on the televised portion, they gave him more than 5 minutes total to speak, which is a record. But other candidates obviously got a lot more time than Ron Paul. But he is now number 1 or number 2, depending on which scientific poll, in Iowa. Number 2 in New Hampshire. And as soon as we expose Newt Gingrich, who they act like this foreign policy expert, Newt Gingrich has written the foreword to 2 books calling for an end to American sovereignty. He wants carbon taxes. We're going to get to George, Sean, Steve, and others here in just a few minutes as well. But let's go ahead and play part of the debate, the CNN debate a couple nights ago. Here it is.
I'm Ron Paul, a congressman from Texas. I am pleased to be here at the debate because this is a very important debate. But I am convinced that needless and unnecessary wars are a great detriment. They undermine our prosperity and our liberties. They add to our deficits and they consume our welfare. We should take a careful look at our foreign policy.
Right to the questions. Our leadoff question is from the Honorable Ed Meese, the former Attorney General of the United States, who's representing the Heritage Foundation.
At least 42 terrorist attacks aimed at the United States have been thwarted since 9/11. Tools like the Patriot Act have been instrumental in finding and stopping terrorists. Shouldn't we have a long-range extension of the investigative powers contained in that act
Total bull.
so that our law enforcement officers can have the tools?
Why didn't we have this before?
Paul, I suspect you disagree.
I do.
Tell us why.
I think the Patriot Act is unpatriotic because it undermines our liberty. I'm concerned, as everybody is, about the terrorist attack. Timothy McVeigh was a vicious terrorist. He was arrested. Terrorism still on the books, internationally and nationally, is a